Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Polish opposition is calling for the resignation of the Speaker of the Sejm, Elżbieta Witek, as a result of her decision to call for a resumption of the voting process during a recent controversial parliamentary vote on an amendment to the media law. The opposition won the first vote to postpone the decision until September, but Witek allowed the vote to be taken a second time due to a technical mistake, and it was then won by the government. The opposition has summarised their stance following yesterday's meeting on the future of the Speaker of the Sejm. Among the politicians mentioned as potential candidates to replace Ms Witek are the leader of the Polish People's Party, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, and the current Sejm Deputy Speaker, Piotr Zgorzelski. It does not matter who will be the Speaker of the Sejm. It is important that it is a person who will be able to combine different qualities. Above all, he or she should be guided by common sense in exercising this function. The meeting was also attended by quite a wide representation of parliamentary opposition. There were also representatives of Jarosław Gowin's Agreement Party. We believe that Madam Speaker has violated the rules of the Sejm, and this is simply sad. Not to use stronger words. More and more MPs see this. The curtain has fallen. Therefore, more and more MPs who used to be on the governing side are joining. So I think there will be a majority for this motion. The Confederation Party also accepted the invitation to attend the meeting. I am convinced that in parliamentary politics we should simply talk to everyone. If we talk to the President, Prime Minister and the Law and Justice deputies, why shouldn't we talk to other opposition caucuses? Law and Justice Deputy Rafał Bochenek recalls that situations when voting was repeated had happened before. Actions taken recently in accordance with the spirit and the letter of the law, on the basis of legal opinions, on the basis of Article 189 of the Rules of the Sejm, and the decisions were not made by Madam Speaker, but by MPs voting. A potential vote of no confidence against the Speaker is expected to be tight. The votes of 4 or 5 MPs could be enough to tip the balance. And now over to Australia, which is wrestling with the deteriorating COVID-19 situation. Sydney's Delta outbreak has not peaked and residents must brace themselves for more deaths, the authorities stated today, as Australia's largest city continued to break records for new daily infections despite a nearly 2-month lockdown. The state of New South Wales reported its biggest daily rise of 633 new cases, including 545 in Sydney, eclipsing the state's previous daily high of 478, which was reached on Monday. State Premier Gladys Berejiklian told reporters in Sydney that the worst is yet to come.
According to the data we have, every person who has the virus is spreading it to at least more than one person. Now, for us to know that we've reached our peak, that can't continue. So what the data is telling us in the last few days is that we haven't seen the worst of it. And the way that we stop this is by everybody staying at home. 60 people have died since the first Delta case was reported in Sydney on the 16th of June, including 3 confirmed on Wednesday. Well, I mean, this is a horrible situation and it will take us longer if people continue to do the wrong thing. That's why we're grateful at Operation Stay Home. The New South Wales Police have already not only started their operations but already identified hundreds and hundreds of people in a couple of days alone doing the wrong thing. Imagine even if out of those hundreds and hundreds of people doing the wrong thing, a couple have the virus and are going around the community spreading it. That sets all of us back.
Australia is in the grip of a third wave of infections that has exposed the weaknesses in the country's vaccine rollout and forced more than half of its 25 million people into lockdown. Peru's Foreign Minister Héctor Bayar was forced to resign yesterday after remarks he made about a communist rebel group that kills tens of thousands of Peruvians sparked outrage, making him the first cabinet minister to fall under leftist President Pedro Castillo. The new Marxist-Leninist president's government is highly unstable, and fears are growing that the country could be heading towards more political unrest. Héctor Bayar, 85, who in his youth participated in the Marxist socialist guerrilla movement, had said he believed that the Shining Path rebel group had emerged in part because of the backing from the US Central Intelligence Agency. The Navy initiated terrorism in Peru and it can be historically demonstrated. They have been trained to do that by the CIA. About 70,000 people are estimated to have died as government forces battled the Maoist Shining Path in the early 1980s and early 1990s in large swathes of the country. I spoke with Chancellor Bayar, and he told me that his words had been taken out of context. I advised him to clarify this and apologise to the Peruvian Navy and all the citizens. He was supposed to have done so today, and we have seen that he has resigned. The foreign minister's departure is likely to add more political uncertainty to an administration already navigating a highly volatile and polarised first few weeks that saw the country's sole currency fall to record lows against the dollar.
Estamos indignados.
We are indignant, ashamed of this Chancellor. The Chancellor is a terrorist. We Peruvians have lived through terrorism. How is it possible? We cannot believe it. And Congress does nothing. They are communists. Castillo, a member of the Marxist-Leninist Party, is scheduled to govern Peru until 2026, although political turmoil has been so high in recent years that he is the country's fifth president in 5 years. Bayar's naming had sparked questions about whether Peru would leave the so-called Lima group of nations, created to oppose the presidency of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, and whether the country would cease to be a United States ally. Lithuanian Deputy Interior Minister Arnoldas Abramovicius has stated that the country is concerned that the Belarusian regime could help migrants from Afghanistan to reach EU territory through the Belarusian border with Lithuania. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has in recent months flown in and guided a stream of mainly Iraqi migrants from Belarus to Lithuania, Latvia and Poland. So far, Lithuania has registered around 80 migrants from Afghanistan in its accommodation centres. All of them have applied for asylum, Abramovicius said. He added the situation at its border with Belarus is stabilised after the country made inevitable decisions on border control, barring illegal immigrants from applying for asylum in Lithuanian territory, but from border crossing points and embassies instead.
So if you would ask about the recent development in Afghanistan, what you have seen on TV few last days, already we have in our accommodation centers about 80 Afghanistan citizens, and they also asking for asylum application.
More than 4,000 immigrants have illegally crossed into Lithuania, a country of 2.8 million, from Belarus this year, compared with 74 in total in 2020.
Intelligence is investigating the possible scenario, but concern is existing that Lukashenko will try to open a new channel to the European Union, either with flights or with trains. We are not yet informed, but definitely we are concerned.
Most of the migrants come from Iraq, followed by the Republic of Congo and Cameroon. Belarus in May decided to let migrants enter Lithuania in retaliation for EU sanctions imposed after Minsk forced a Ryanair flight to land on its soil in what Abramovicius calls a hybrid aggression. The commander of the Lithuanian State Border Guard Service, Rostamas Liubayevas, refuted the allegation made by Belarus that migrants pushed back from Lithuania were met with violence by the Lithuanian Border Patrol, saying that those allegations were fake news.
Lukashenko's regime tried to discredit the State Border Guard Service and Lithuania in general, providing fake information and fake news about people who are beaten. They tell very bad stories, but again, I have to say it is not possible at all. Because we really have quite sufficient system of control and fundamental right monitoring system as well.
With the influx of migrants stalling, Lithuania is now concentrating on improving housing for the migrants who are already there, now housed in makeshift accommodation at various sites across the country, Liubayevas said. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.